Six Nations game number one, folks. France 43, Wales 0. Any thoughts about France potentially not starting the competition quickly? Well, those thoughts are gone because it's a bonus point secured in the first half alone as France run in 7 tries, conceding nothing. The biggest concern for France will be the fact that Ntamack got himself red carded with 10 minutes to go. For Wales, that was a pretty tough day at the office. They had a few moments, but the penalty count was horrendous. The line-out was not flash, and the attack didn't really look like troubling the French defence many times. But hey, we'll go through the key events and the stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how things may go next week. Because Wales is taking on Italy, which seems like a probably better prospect than this game. But, 43-0 is pretty rough. Interestingly for Wales, they tested the French backfield with a high ball, which if we cast our memories back to 2023, actually worked relatively well against France, especially when Ramos was at fullback. And I thought they should do that more. They didn't do it much. They did it in the second half maybe once. They kicked it too deep, got Tom Rogers to chase it. I think it was Tom Rogers. And Ntamack just fielded it kind of uncontested because the kick was too deep. But they didn't do a lot of high balls. But the first one caused at least a bit of trouble as Tom Rogers chased it and competed with Ramos. France couldn't secure it. Ramos ended up kicking a 50-22 a couple of minutes later as if to say, yeah, kick me the ball at your peril. So a chance for France early. Dupont went quick when they had advantage. He was looking to play the game at pace. He ended up getting held up, and Wainwright, sadly for Wales, had to go off with a knock to the head. He ended a bit of blood, then ended up coming back on. His substitute, Tommy Reffel, came on and won a penalty at the breakdown 9 phases into a French attack. So at least he was able to kind of get Wales out of some trouble. And the score, to be fair, was still 0-0. Wales did knock on from the resulting penalty that they won, which was a frustrating part of the Welsh game, that often their attacking phases would just end in a knock-on. But that being said, Roumat ended up knocking a French ball on from a free kick that Wales got at scrum time as well. So the start of the game was a little bit messy. The scrums were messy. Ben Thomas put in a cross kick for Tom Rogers, which on another day he might have grabbed but couldn't quite grab it. Alldritt managed to win a penalty at the breakdown from the resulting Welsh attack, and it was a bit scrappy. Wales were by no means looking 43-0 at this stage of the game. Tompkins dropped the ball in his own half. Well, I've been trying to support Nick Tompkins as he gets a fair bit of stick, but it's getting harder. He knocked the ball in his own half. Boudehent kind of hacked it through, and there was a knock-on in that one. So Wales were under a bit of pressure, and you felt like it was coming, and it took 17 minutes, but it did come. Once that first try game, the floodgates kind of opened a wee bit. This one was a lot of French phases. Gros had gone really close, the big prop. Louis Bielle-Biarrey had kind of gone close on the left wing. And then Dupont put in a cross kick to Attissogbe. To be fair, Dupont had put in a cross kick earlier in the middle of the field, and it had been awful. No one was on the same page as him. But this one, they got their teamwork going. And Dupont's cross kick to Attissogbe, 7 points to 0 for France. Then a few minutes later, France go through 9 phases. Again, it starts with a Wales knock-on when in position in the kind of middle of the field. Hands into Atonio, to Ntamack, to Ramos, to Louis Bielle-Biarrey off his wing, and 14 points to 0. So Wales have gone from, hey, it's kind of a contest, we keep knocking on the ball, we're struggling for territory, but at least it's 0-0, to being 2 tries down. Watkin also had to go off injured, sadly, for Wales on 26 minutes. That man Dan Edwards had to come on for his debut. Not ideal. You're away from home, first ever test match, and you're 14 points to 0 down. You're struggling to get out of your own half, but hopefully this guy gets a bit more game time, because he may be the future answer at Wales 10, but Yeah, this was a tough game to get your debut for sure. And then it get kind of tougher for Wales because Evan Lloyd, the hooker, ends up getting himself yellow carded for a shoulder to the head shot on Louis Bielle-Biarrey. It stays yellow because it goes for the off-field review because he's the kind of secondary tackler. So there's a little bit of mitigation found there for him. But 14 against 15 proves tough for Wales because they concede a couple of tries. France go for touch. They maul at advantage. Touch again. They can't gather the line out, France. So it looks like it's going to be a kind of freebie exit for Wales as Thomas Williams box kicks them out of dodge. But France just run it straight back at them. That man Dupont gets a line break. He goes past Jenkins. He kind of goes past Liam Williams. And then he gets the pass to Attissogbe. So it's 21 points to 0. And there was a few brutal moments like that at this one for Wales. Like just when you thought you'd done something good, France punished. So that was a moment of that. I mean, Dupont, he gets 3 try assists in the first half. The guy is unbelievable. France, you could tell they really wanted the bonus point. Before halftime, cross kick to Attissogbe. They had a maul go close. They had Wales conceding so many penalties that they ended up getting a warning. I don't feel like Welsh fans will be particular fans of Paul Williams, despite his surname. The Kiwi ref, the penalty count was pretty lopsided, but they got a couple of warnings before he pulled the trigger on the next yellow card. But yeah, they get a warning. The maul goes close again for France. Dupont, wide ball from the ruck to Louis Bielle-Biarrey. Man, it's 28 points to 0 at halftime. I'm just thinking at least they didn't get the yellow. Like there could be a situation where Wales conceded another advantage, got yellowed, and conceded the try. So at least they just conceded the try. That's kind of small mercy. 28 points to 0 at halftime. The territory is 71-29. They can't get out their half. Defenders beaten is 19-6. Clean breaks is 6-1. The penalty count is 6-1 against Wales. Jack Morgan's had to make 17 tackles in the first half alone. And as I said, Dupont has had a direct hand in 3 of France's 4 tries. The second half, to be fair, is maybe the best period of Welsh pressure in that game so far. They go through a bunch of phases in the French 22 to end up knocking it on. France early on brought on a bunch of their substitutes, including taking off Dupont, which maybe disjointed them a little bit. But that being said, Wales went back on the warning for the yellow card on 53 minutes. And France went for touch with the penalty, got the maul going again. They mauled a lot in this game with that big pack of theirs. And the backs even got in there. And then Marchand was able to go over for his try. So 33-0. They didn't get the conversions in the second half, France. Wales did have a heap of phases. It was kind of frustrating because it kind of just ended in nothing. They just put a little dinking kick through to Thomas Ramos, kind of unopposed. It was frustrating to see them not at least, put in a contestable up and under. But yeah, Ramos gets it. And just when you think France are actually going to be penalised, it gets reversed for a croc roll by Paul Williams. So, and then not long later, Josh Adams gets marched 10 metres. Like, I get he's frustrated. I get the penalty count's really lopsided, and you're probably looking at some of the breakdown stuff and going, that could have gone our way. But if you scream at the ref, you are not going to endear yourself to the ref. So he gets his team marched 10 metres for that penalty conceded at the breakdown. From there, France score pretty much directly from that penalty. Direct carries, they keep getting over the advantage line. It's the stuff that Wales can't do when they've got the ball. They spread it with the width. They shift it to the right wing. Then Ntamack kicks it to the left for Gaetan, who's only just come on the field. He scores. It's 38-0. Then you get that worst moment of the game for France because shoulder to the head from Ntamack on Ben Thomas. It doesn't look good. I mean, you could argue that there's a secondary tackle thing going on, but it's late and it's high. He's just really upright. It's just shoulder straight to the head. And that one gets upgraded to red. So he'll have to go through the judicial process. If he ends up getting suspended, which is likely, unless they can somehow appeal it, he'll miss some games. And it means maybe Ramos at 10 or potentially a recall for Matthew Jalibert. We'll kind of have to wait and see. But yeah, that's in a game where it's 43-0, barring an injury to someone bad. Getting a red card was about the worst thing that could happen to France, and the fact that Ntamack's had such little international game time with his long-term injury layoff. This is a bit of bad news for him. Can Wales score 15 on 14? No. Bloody Nick Tompkins, got held up. He just couldn't get rid of the ball as he went over the goal line, but he was still very upright. They just kind of dragged him over and it was like a maul. So a maul turnover for France. Yeah. Nothing going right for Wales. The ongoing warnings for Wales, though, did finally get pinged. Freddie Thomas got yellow carded for those ongoing penalties. So we go to 14 on 14 and back to even numbers. Alldritt is able to get the final try of the game. He also gets man of the match, so brings it over 40 points. Close range carry, hard man to stop, 43-0. Pretty emphatic. Defenders beaten at 26-11. Offloads 13-5. Gats talked about wanting to shut down the French offloading game. It's tough. And France conceded 15 turnovers. So France dropped a fair bit of ball. Like, they could have had more, potentially, if they'd been a little bit more careful with their handling. I don't know if France ever really hit top gear, which is a bit scary. Wales had 13 as well. They mauled it 10 times to 2, the French. They really got the maul going. It is a proper weapon for them. The possession count actually finished even, 50-50. France didn't have as much ball as Wales in that second half, but the territory is still with France, 54-46. The penalty count is 12-3. 12-3. Yeah, it's going to be tough when you're that much under the pump. Individuals, Alldritt, man of the match, 18 carries and 12 tackles. He was not only France's top carrier, but top tackler. He gets man of the match. Dupont might have got it if he'd stayed on, but he only played basically half a game. He finished with 4 defenders beaten in those 3 try assists. Louis Bielle-Biarrey also had 5 defenders beaten, but all in the first half. Jenkins made 24 tackles for Wales. Morgan made 21. But yeah, that was a tough day at the office, and France look really, really good. Wales away to Italy. You feel like that is make or break next week. Mentally, this is not the ideal result going into that game because they were just not competitive for large periods. The injury to Wainwright may be also a very concerning one. France are away to England, which will be really, really fascinating, depending on how England goes against Ireland in day 2. But you guys let us know your thoughts. France, emphatic winners. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, folks. I'd greatly appreciate it. There's going to be a bucket load more of Six Nations content to come. You guys take care, and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.